The Mongol Empire Mong. Ik Mongol Uls, Old Mongolian Yek Mongol Ulis Great Mongol State, a power formed in the 13th century as a result of Mongol conquests. It was founded by Genghis Khan, who in 1206 completed the unification of the Mongol tribes and was proclaimed their supreme ruler. He introduced a new administrative territorial division of the state without taking into account the previous tribal boundaries, created a personal guard kishig, recruited from among the sons of Noyons, established a centralized horse and postal service, introduced a unified legislation.
In order to reduce the growing tension in Mongolian society, caused by the rigid orders of the new statehood, and in order to enrich the nomadic elite, Genghis Khan, from 1207, began to conquer neighboring countries. By the time of his death, 1227, the empire included southern Siberia, Central Asia, Khwarezm, Mavarar, Semireki, Khorasan, eastern Deshti Kipchak, the territory of the defeated Tangut state Xijia, and the conquest of northern China Jin.
Skillful diplomacy and military art of the Mongols, weakness and fragmentation of neighboring states, use of resources of the captured countries by the Mongols to ensure further expansion contributed to the rapid territorial expansion of the empire. About 1224, Genghis Khan allocated to his three eldest sons, Ulysses, in the newly annexed domains, Dizuchi, received the management of Deshti Kipchak and Khwarezm, Chagatai of Mavarana, and Semireki, Ugidei of the Altai mountainous country. His younger son Tolui inherited the management of Mongolia native yurt and the command of the main part of the army. Genghis Khan appointed Ugidei as his heir to the throne, who ascended the throne in 1229 and assumed the title Khan.
Under successors of Genghis Khan, Khan's Ugei, Gyuk 1246 to 1248, Monk 1251 to 1259, Kublai, the Mongol Empire included Iran, Inner Fluves, Transcaucasia, Korea, Tibet, a part of Asia Minor subjugation of all China was completed. As a result of Batu's campaigns, western Deshti Kipchak, Volga Kama, Bulgaria, and the most part of Russia were conquered. Attempts to invade Japan and the countries of Southeast Asia were made. At the end of 1250th, from Mongolian possessions in the middle and near east, one more Ulis was formed, founded by grandson of Genghis Khan, Hulagu. The capital of the empire was originally the city of Karakorum in Mongolia.
Proclamation of Temujin as Genghis Khan at the All-Mongol Kurultai. 1206. Miniature from Rashid al-Din's manuscript, Jami, at Tawari Collection of Chronicles. 1430 to 1434. National Library of France, Paris. Department des Manuscrits. Supplement Persan 1113. Fol. 44v.
In 1260, Kublai moved it to the territory of China to Kaiping, and in 1264 to Khanbalik, also Dadu, Zhongdu, now Beijing. The state structure of the Mongol Empire combined phenomena inherent in the Turkic-Mongol nomadic tradition and institutions borrowed from the conquered countries. Formally, the empire was considered the property of Genghis Khan's golden family. The most important issues, including the proclamation of the next Khan, were decided at Kurultai Congresses of Jinggizids. In reality, however, most Kurultais were held only to approve decisions made in advance by court groups.
The most noticeable features of the nomadic social order were in the management of the population of the steppes, and in the organization of the armed forces, the hierarchy of military commanders, the division of territory and people into wings, flanks and decimal units, tumens, thousands, hundreds, tens. A similar distribution of taxpayers into decimal districts was sometimes practiced with respect to subjects, sedentary farmers. The Mongol government utilized the experience of Uyghur and to a lesser extent Khitan and Chinese and later also Khwarezmian officials. The Uyghur script was adapted to the Mongolian language, which was used for official and business documentation in the 14th century. Arabic script was increasingly used in the chancelleries of the Western Ulis.
In the reigns of Ugidei and Monkey, a unified system of taxes and duties was established and a postal service yam system was organized. The legislation of the empire was based on the Great Yasa, the basic norms adopted by Genghis Khan, as well as on the Yasas of Khans and Ulis Khans and Ulus Khans. One of the most important principles dictated by the Great Yasa was religious tolerance, which manifested itself, in particular, in the exemption of the clergy of all confessions from taxes and duties.
In the Mongol Empire, there was no clear order of succession to the throne. Disputes and conflicts arose after the death of almost every Khan, which led to periods of interregnum 1227 to 1229, 1234 to 1246, 1248 to 1251, when the empire was actually ruled by regents from among the closest relatives of the deceased ruler.
The most severe crisis broke out after the death of Monkey, when his brothers Arik Buga and Kublai simultaneously declared themselves Khans. Their confrontation started the disintegration of the empire. Chinggisids divided into two warring camps, and after Kublai's victory over his rival, the irreversible separation of the Uluses of Djibouti, Chagatai and Hulagu from the imperial center began.
In addition to feuds, the main reasons for the loss of state unity were the differences in the levels of development of the conquered countries, the mismatch of economic and political interests of the ruling elites in different parts of the empire, as well as the different cultural orientation of the descendants of the Mongol conquerors. In the Western Ulus, the influence of Muslim culture and statehood became more and more noticeable. In the 14th century, Islam became the state religion there. The eastern part of the empire, ruled by Khan, was strongly influenced by Chinese civilization.
In 1271, Kublai proclaimed the beginning of a new imperial dynasty on the Chinese model and named the lands under his rule the Yuan Empire. Nominally, Khan continued to be considered the main in the hierarchy of Chinggisid monarchs, but his primacy was manifested only in the fact that from Khanbalik to the Western Uluses were occasionally sent letters of complaint yarliks with the approval of the next Khan on the throne.
With the fall of the Yuan dynasty in China 1368, this formal connection between the parts of the former Mongol Empire was lost. The Ulus Hulagu in the middle of the 14th century was plagued by infighting, and it disintegrated. The Ulus Chagatai in the second half of the 14th century was divided into two states in place of the Ulus Djibouti horde. During the 15th century, several warring khanates and hordes were formed.